And, with that, we'll move on to some best bets for the college football slate we have coming up. We'll start with a game that we kind of just talked about: Iowa State versus Kansas. We talked about Kansas being plus 3.5. I actually like Kansas to win outright here, so I love taking Kansas 3.5 with the points. I think that's pretty good value and something that seems like a no brainer. I like Kansas to continue with the streak. You know, like we said, they've already beaten that over under for the season on their win total. So I look for them to keep it rolling. We have Arizona State going into USC. This is Arizona State that, as we talked about in previous episodes, lost their head coach in Herm Edwards. They kind of, caught him before he even got off the field there, and pretty much let him know that they weren't going to be retaining him and needing his services anymore. They go and they got throttled, and they're walking into a number 6 USC team that had a tough time in Oregon State.
But I think they're looking to bounce back, though.
Yeah, I think they're looking to bounce back. I think Arizona State, is kind of a team in shambles right now. They're not sure what's going on. They're recovering from losing their head coach. They're not a very good team. Before that Oregon State team, USC was putting up crazy points, showcasing their talent. I think USC gets back to that in this game before they move on to some tougher opposition in Pac-12 play. But yeah, USC minus 26 here. I like them more with the opening line. You could have found them 23.5. I love them at that. 26 is, not what you want to see really if you could get it lower, but I'll take the 26 and 26 points here. They'll probably put up, 50 plus points in this game, and
especially against Arizona State that's kind of struggling to really find their ground.
Yeah, and I like them to cover, no problem. Another one, we'll keep it in the Pac-12, and we'll talk about this game that's, California versus Washington State. Washington State favored by 3.5 points. They just played Oregon pretty tough, an Oregon team that, besides that game against Georgia to start out, they've looked pretty good. They've, played some good opponents. They found a way to get their offense and defense kind of working together and pull out some wins. But yeah, Washington State was able to keep that game close against Oregon, had a shot that they could have won that game, and obviously the big upset against Wisconsin before that. But yeah, against a California team that hasn't really played all that well, I like Washington State's chances here, minus 3.5. That's enticing enough to me that I think they win this game by 7 or more. So 3.5 for me. I'll take that. We'll move on to Oklahoma State at Baylor. We covered this game as well, but Baylor minus 2.5 points at home. You got to expect a coach like Dave Aranda to get his team right and get the guys ready to go. A big home game. Both teams ranked highly. Big matchup. All eyes are going to be on them. Showcase game for the Big 12. So I like Baylor here. I can't bet against Baylor for big games like this, and I just believe in them to do what they need to do. And then we'll move on to a Big Ten matchup here. Illinois going against Wisconsin. Wisconsin coming off a tough loss to Ohio State where they just couldn't keep up. They didn't have the horses to run with them when Ohio State starts putting up that number of points. And I like Wisconsin to bounce back here, kind of take some of their anger out on Illinois. They're favored by 7 points. With their defense, I think they'll be able to kind of shut Illinois' offense down a bit,
right.
and kind of run the ball out, hold possession a lot longer than Illinois, and get this win. Minus 7 is good for me. If it was minus 7.5, I wouldn't take it, but I like them by a touchdown. I think they'll cover a touchdown or less. So depending on what you could get this game at, if it stays at 7.5 or drops, I
mean, if it drops, I think you definitely take it.
Yeah, exactly.
If it's minus 6.5, minus 5.5, then it's beneficial. But looks like it's probably going to stay around minus 7, maybe raise a little bit.